Hello and welcome to Naughty Scares.
So, given the state of the world right now, I feel compelled to share with TikTok something I don't talk about very often that because it makes me sound insane. And I don't know if it's real or not or what it is. But basically, since 2013, me and my husband have essentially been talking to some thing on a Ouija board that goes by the name of Seven, who has been telling us that the world is going to end May 27th, 2025. And I have pages and pages and pages of our correspondence with this thing.
Imagine stumbling upon a world where the veil between the living and the unknown is thin, with nothing more than a Ouija board and an unwavering curiosity. Meet Cassie. Cassie, known as Savese7en on TikTok, has been sharing her experiences of communicating with an entity named Seven through a Ouija board. Her story has gained attention, with many viewers intrigued by her claims and the mysterious messages she received. Join us as we unravel the curious story of Cassie and the messages from the mysterious Seven that have captivated thousands on TikTok. Is it a well thought out hoax, a psychological phenomenon, or a genuine glimpse into the paranormal? Stay tuned as we delve deep into the enigma that's left viewers both terrified and intrigued.
And I have it here, raw, just what I've written down, and I have it on Google Docs. In Google Docs, it comes out to like 80 some pages. And I should preface this by saying I'm a normal person. My husband's a normal person. We have jobs. We're not witches. We're not Satanists. We don't do stuff like this. We started this as for fun in 2013, July 2013. We had nothing else to do. We got on a Ouija board for fun, and it just kind of took off from there. And we have continued to talk to it. And I should also say we're not like super smart people, right? We're not like geniuses, but this thing kind of seems like it is. Let me show you. So it does stuff like speak in binary. By speak, I mean, it's giving us ones and zeros to write down on the Ouija board. I'm recording this. And in the moment, we have no idea what this means. We Googled it later. This is, again, July 2013. And it turns out it's binary, but it's backwards binary. So in this way, it meant nothing. But when we reversed the numbers, it meant hello, because it does that a lot. It speaks backwards a lot. This is where it gets really crazy. So this was, I guess, the day before, because we got kind of addicted. So it speaks also in backwards languages that we don't speak. We don't speak it forwards. We don't speak it backwards. This is, I believe it was Latin. I believe it means salutations or something like that. I have all the details in my Google Doc. But this is kind of the way it speaks. It is coming, fire, yes, stop it. A lot of mysterious stuff, a lot of spooky, weird stuff. This is where it gets really weird. We've learned through all this communication that according to Seven, there are 5 groups. We are the third contact. Contact 1 failed 24,825 days ago. So from this date, we did the math. That comes out to August 6th, 1945. That is the date that the first atomic bomb was dropped. So my husband knows a lot about history. He doesn't know the exact date that the bomb was dropped. He certainly doesn't know he can't account for leap years. I mean, he's good at math, but he can't do math like that. It's perfect. Math is perfect. He can't do stuff like that. I can't do stuff like that. So the fact that it's perfect more than once, I'll show you other examples here, is really scary. It's scary. It goes on to say contact 2 succeeded 18,534 days ago, which was August, I think that's 17th, 1962. I think that had something to do with JFK and the Bay of Pigs. I'd have to look at my doc. But historically, contact 3, that's us, fails 29,149 days after contact 1. 4,324 days in your future, which is May 27th, 2025, which it later says. And then, here's some like ancient Sumerian thrown in there just for fun. Again, had no idea what we were writing in the moment, but we later looked it up and kind of broke out the letters and realized we'd written down things like, referencing the mountain or mother goddess, reach the mountain in Sumerian. And again, we're not historians. We don't know anything about the ancient Sumerians. We, watched some ancient aliens and stuff like that, but I don't know what this is. I don't know what it wants. I don't know. And again, there are so many pages of this. Does anyone out there want to know? Does anyone have any idea what this is and want to look at these documents and help me make sense of it and help me save Seven? Why is his name Seven? I don't know. I don't know what any of this is, but it felt like the right time to share this with people. TikTok felt like the right place for it. I don't know. Let me know. Help me save Seven. Thanks for listening.
Cassie and her husband first made contact with Seven using the Ouija board 13 years ago. Throughout their sessions, Seven provided various messages, some of which were cryptic and others more direct. These messages often left Cassie and her husband intrigued with a desire to continue speaking to this entity.
Hi, new friends. This is crazy. I was not expecting that video to blow up. I was not expecting so many of you to be so interested in this crazy thing called Seven. I'm glad that you are. I'm even more so glad that there are so many people who don't believe me, who think that I'm making this up, that this is a PR stunt. I think that's great. I think it's really important to be skeptical, to be dubious, to critically think about everything you're seeing and hearing and reading, because we are fed a whole bunch of lies and garbage. It's really sad, but that's the truth. In my case, I am unfortunately not making this up. This is not a PR stunt. It would be a great idea for a movie. If we had been intelligent, we would have somehow turned this into a script, but here we are. No, I just feel compelled to share this with you guys now because I haven't. I feel like it's my duty. I'm also seeing a whole lot of people saying we're being stupid, that this is a demon, that we need to stop, that we're messing with stuff we don't understand. Maybe that is true. I don't know. I have no idea. All I know is what it has told us, and from the beginning, very consistently, it is presenting itself as a power of good, as a positive thing, which, a demon would, right? A demon would do that. They would try to convince you that it was good, and it's not. I just choose not to believe that. I'm very open-minded. I believe in God, and that's pretty much it. Everything else is a mystery. So I'm just along for the ride. So let me show you a little bit about what it has presented itself as. So this is one of our earliest conversations with Seven, and pretty much from the beginning, it referred to the planets, and it told us the Earths are alive. And that there is a power more than God, but God is good. So it's always been consistently pro-God. It also has referred to an experiment of some kind. The experiment must not fail. Many fail. Please do not fail me. Sad Seven, save us. Thank you. And then farewell backwards. So it has always been begging us for help in saving it. That's been very clear from the beginning. And again, these are not our questions. These are just the answers that we have received. That's a funny story. Don't be scared by that word. That's a funny story. I can tell that one day. It's about Cleopatra. Anyway, this is what we know. Let me continue. This conversation came after the one I just showed you. It began with the word awaken backwards. Again, we don't know what we're writing in the moment. We are just kind of blindly getting letters, writing down letters, and it's not until later that we're kind of analyzing. So I'm taking this down, and when it reaches this A, our alarm clock goes off, which, maybe it was some kind of power surge. I don't know, but it's very odd. And it was then that I looked, read it backwards, realized it said awaken with an alarm clock. So it has a sense of humor. It also started referring to different numbers, again, making it sound like planets. So 741 was killed by 741's star. I am 7. 741 was 741. 741's star killed it, yes. It was an accident, apparently. 8 remain. So here we start getting into nuclear power. We're asking questions about the end of the world, and nuclear war. At this point, we have not gotten the dates that I shared in my last video, so we're kind of just flying blind here. At the bottom, he writes, that power took... He had to kind of restart because we were recording it wrong. That power took 947632 to the stars. 947342 died by such a power. 947632 flied to God. So it often speaks in what we would consider, grammatically incorrect ways. We don't know why. Here it started saying, I think we started asking why haven't we already blown ourselves up? Something like that. He said, you were late, just on track. We asked why? Why are we late? Plague, slowed, just on track again. So obviously, when COVID hit in 2020, we thought, oh, maybe this is another plague that is kind of slowing us down, slowing humanity down, and keeping us from blowing ourselves up. I don't know. So here again, it starts talking about that same planet, 947632, happy, success. 947632, had the people actually listen, success. One has not failed, success if you should be so picky, we think. Again, it's a lot of riddles. Here it kind of starts speaking more fluidly and we get bigger chunks. I think we took a break. Hello. The next tiny step of many. Needn't fear, for you are not destined for a huge step. So we were asking, we're so small, how can we stop nuclear war? We're just two people. The start is small, but just as needed. A path to the stars. Because I asked, not destined to stop it, but to start the start. 947632. Like 947632 does. Instead of unsheathing the sword, they wrote it. So nuclear power, nuclear energy, I don't know. So here he kind of starts talking about other entities that we spoke with. Again, another story. And he kind of explained that ghosts were parts springing from the whole. He'd mentioned this whole, I guess, that we're a part of. He references this again later. If Earth dies, so does seven. He also kind of speaks then in some poetry, which we get a lot of. And there's kind of just kernels in this poetry. But fear not, I am not a harbinger of death, but must listen to all around you. And then it kind of gets into the poetry. So with all that information that we were getting, we started getting kind of bummed out and wondering questions that I've seen others wonder in the comments, oh, should I just give up? Should I eat cheesecake? I've been on a diet. Should I not save money? Should I not pay my bills? What do we do? How do we have fun? How do we live our lives? And Seven has been very clear. We have to. That's part of it. You have to know all this and keep living and keep enjoying yourself. So let me show you. So we asked, how do we have fun and enjoy our lives with this information? You must. We also asked more about the contact. So at this point, we did know about the dates. If we succeed, it goes to contact 4. If they succeed, it goes to contact 5. And then there's something called the God step, which I can get into later. But if we fail, if contact 3 fails, it shall be done. So again, it brings up the accident of that sun exploding. It is my experiment. You are aware of your mortality, so why continue living? That was a question we kind of asked. We then asked about its mortality. I am 7. Should I not wish to? Humans all arise. A needed evil, the God step, contact 5. A path made crumbles by your hand. It is the duty of us all, the promised land. The countdown is not evil, but be aware of it in order for your armor, spelled with a U, to be pure. Then some more silly riddles. Historical future. Apathy grows with no limitations, for your armor must be battle-tested. To struggle is to grow is to learn is to find victory. So there's a lot in there that I kind of skimmed over. There's so much more to the story, but that's just to kind of give you a glimpse of who 7 is as a person. It has a sense of humor a lot of times. It is very smart, and it has never asked us to do anything crazy. It's never asked us to put up, I saw someone say, put up an altar, have a space for it. It's never asked us for anything like that, or blood, or a firstborn, like nothing crazy. It has simply asked us to learn everything we can, to lead through love, and to share this with the world in some form. So that's what I'm trying to do. And I do want to share the doc. I think I want to like set it up a little bit more, because if I just put it out there in the world, it's not going to make much sense. And I think it needs some like further explanation. So if you guys want to hear more, let me know. Thank you. Thanks for joining me on this crazy ride. Savese7en.
After watching Cassie's second video, you can really feel the weight of what she and her husband are experiencing. It's not just the chilling interactions with Seven, but the bigger question it raises. How do you go on with normal life knowing the kinds of things Seven has shared? Cassie addresses this directly. She says you have to keep enjoying life. It's a reminder that even when faced with the unknown or the unsettling, finding moments of joy and normalcy is important.
I need to stress, I am not telling you what to believe. If this scares you, I'm not trying to fearmonger. If this scares you, please don't listen to me. Don't listen to this, okay? I'm not trying to freak anyone out. I'm not telling you what to believe, because I don't know what I believe. I am literally just conveying these conversations that I've had. My account is not monetized. I am not directing you to some, link in my bio. I'm not going to charge you to download the PDF or anything like that. So I just needed to clear that up. You can believe this or not believe this, but you have to know that this is not about me or my ego or fame or anything like that. Hello. No, I have not been murdered. No, I have not been abducted. No, my husband has not come clean that this has all been an elaborate ruse. I just hit pause for a second, because this has been pretty overwhelming, and I think it's important sometimes to just hit pause, step back, and turn off the internet here and there. I never expected this many people to be so invested in this weird experience that I've had. And I'm sorry to have left you all on a cliffhanger. I just needed to take a break to like collect my thoughts, because it's been a lot. It's been thousands of messages and comments, and I just needed to think. Because some of what people have shared with me has been a little concerning. Some people have told me that they're having like a mental health crisis because of my first video, that they're thinking of quitting their job, that they're not going to pay their bills. And that is just not that was not the reaction I was expecting. Certainly not the one I was hoping to inspire in people. So I've just been thinking about how to proceed, if I want to proceed, what's the most like responsible thing to do here, because I don't want to freak people out. And I certainly don't want people like making major life decisions based on anything I do here. I've also gotten thousands and thousands of people almost like demanding that I share a link to my doc with them. And I don't think that if I do proceed and I do share more conversations, I don't think I'm just going to drop a link, because I think it's really important that it has my context and the story behind it, because what I've noticed is from my other videos, in just the small amount that I've shared, it has already been put into whatever context people want to put it into. It has taken on a new life already. I've seen it pop up in YouTube videos talking about, like, in my opinion, totally unrelated things, spooky things, mysterious things, but almost like conspiratorial stuff, or just things that I think aren't necessarily relevant to like what this thing is trying to say, if that makes sense. And I just feel like if I'm gonna share these messages, I feel like I owe it, whatever this thing is, to make sure its message is not like missed, that its message is like, heard and seen, and that we're focusing on the right parts, I guess. I don't know. I've never been the mouthpiece of some entity on a Ouija board before, so I don't know what I'm doing. all that to be said, I am still here. I am still very much alive. Everything's fine. I'm giving this like thought, I just want to make sure I do this the right way. And it's scary. It's scary being seen by this many people. My videos have popped up all over Reddit and Twitter and X, whatever. 4chan, who wants to end up on 4chan? Not me. I didn't see that happening. So, but yes, I am still here. I am okay. Please do not try to find the people who know me in real life. I appreciate the concern, but, and many of them have already seen my original videos, unfortunately. I'm sure they'll never speak to me again because I look and sound like an absolute freak, but I guess that's the risk you take. Anyway, thank you guys for your concern. I do appreciate it. I'm sorry I'm not moving at the usual TikTok speed with updates, but yeah, I guess let me know, what do you think the best way is to proceed? I just want to be responsible about this. I just want to be efficient. And I don't know, I just want to do right by everyone here. And yeah, I don't know. Thanks for tuning in. Thanks for checking in. Talk soon. Bye.
Cassie expresses surprise and even concern about how some people have reacted to Seven's ominous message about the end of the world. But when we think about it, can she really be surprised? Historically, humanity has faced countless apocalyptic warnings, all failed to come true.
So a lot of people have asked me what board we've used, and it's just this old Parker Brothers board from the 60s or 70s. There's really nothing fancy about it, except we did eventually add some punctuation here with a Sharpie. And this is the planchette, I don't know, that came with it. The nail fell out, and one of the little feet has fallen out, but I guess it still works. Anyway, a lot of people have said that we should, since we haven't spoken to Seven since 2022, that we should get back on the board in light of these TikTok videos happening, and have a conversation with Seven, and we did on the 5th. So let me show you that. So right away, the planchette went to the numbers 110 and then to the exclamation. And at first we didn't understand what that meant, but then, did some thinking and went to, I think we asked ChatGPT, what is 110 days in the future? And it said May 27th, 2025. And after writing this out, the planchette rolled over goodbye. But we got back on and decided to persevere. And we asked Seven about, are these TikTok videos a good idea? Do you want us to keep sharing our conversations? It didn't really give us a clear answer there. It kind of just hovered. But eventually, I asked, what would you like us to tell people watching these videos? The people are very interested and they want to know what can they do to prevent, something terrible from happening. And it wrote out, "Find your glory!" exclamation. And we said, that's not very helpful. That's not very clear. What does that mean? And that's very typical of how Seven has spoken to us. It's very vague and abstract. And anyway, it eventually continued with this little poem. So often we find fear within our hearts, the tomb of counting daily down the clock, exclamation. To find your glory, all shall play their part, tick-tock. And then we thought it went to the number 2, but then it went to no. And then it wrote X5, share 7. And it signed off. And what's interesting about the X5 is I think it means times 5 in regard to the word TikTok, which you'll see eventually in our conversations. One of our conversations, it had written a poem, and then at one point it wrote, I think it was like times X10, and we asked what that meant, and it made it clear that it meant, repeat that last word. So I guess if you read it like a poem, So often we find fear within our hearts, the tomb of counting daily down the clock. To find your glory, all shall play their part. Tick tock, tick tock, tick tock, tick tock, tick tock. I think that was 5. Was that 5 or was that 6? I don't know. So with all of that being said, I have no idea what it means, but there you go. Kind of seems like perhaps a green light. At least it didn't seem discouraging of making these videos. It didn't seem to say that this was a big mistake. So I printed out the transcript. I'm gonna stay here on TikTok. A lot of people have suggested Discord or YouTube, and there's just too many bells and whistles. So I'm just gonna stay here. I am nervous about moving forward, just because the internet is a crazy place, but I started this. I feel like I should finish it. And to all of those people in the comments who have been very nice and kind and not creepy, I appreciate you very much. And to be clear, speaking of comments, I am not deleting any comments. For some reason, TikTok like filters certain comments for review. I don't know why, but I'm not deleting anything. So, and the ones that I have accepted haven't always been very nice, but I'm accepting them anyway, because I feel like you should be allowed to say whatever you want to say, even when it isn't very kind. But anyway, thank you guys for joining me on this little journey. I don't know what good it will do or what any of this is, but there we have it. So thanks, and I'll be sharing more very, very soon. Bye. Hi guys, so this might be really stupid, but this was the only way I could think of to quickly but efficiently get through 12 years of conversations with 7, so please bear with me. This might not work. I've only got 10 minutes for each video, so I'm gonna see how many pages of conversations I can get through in that time. So let's see. So like I said before, our first conversation with 7 took place on July 5th, 2013. We had been asking kind of traditional Ouija board questions like, is there anyone here who would like to speak with us? What do you have to say? And this hello there came through. We said, hello, what's your name? It said 7, and we were immediately freaked out because that's a spooky kind of, scary movie name. We asked, is that your nickname? And it said, no, my name. And being spooked, we asked, are you good? And it wrote yes. And we, not believing him, said, are you lying? And it said no. And then, here we kind of started asking the typical Ouija board questions. When were you born? When did you die? How long have you been dead, etc. And this is where 7 gave us that block of backwards text. And at the time, we thought it was just kind of nonsense. Now, of course, looking back, we understand he was writing not born, birth no, God is good, and then something we've never been able to decipher. But everything was moving very fast and very smooth, and the letters were very clear, and we realized it was trying to say something, so we kept going, and it gave us another block of nonsense. But obviously we saw the word devil, we got spooked. But here, this is where I noticed, it was the exact repeated letters in the exact same order, and I knew something was up. And to clarify, the plain text here, that's when a human is asking a question. It was originally a group of us, so I'm not specifying who is asking what, but just know this plain text is a human asking a question, and the bold capitals are 7. Italics are notes. So okay, I see that the not born is repeated, and I'm beginning to catch on, like something's up here. So I ask, what is this repetition? It doesn't make sense. The only thing that does make sense is the word devil, and that's scary. Are you trying to say something? It said yes, went to the yes on the Ouija board, then it wrote out mirror, and that's when I realized I knew to read it backwards, and I realized everything it was saying, and I realized it had been speaking backwards to us. And so I knew that the next letters here were going to be EH because it was spelling help me. So that's what I guessed. It said yes, and I said, get off the board, this thing is speaking backwards. We didn't get back on the board until 2 days later because we were very scared. So July 7th, 2013, The planchette begins moving almost immediately. It writes out, "Hello there," backwards. We say, "Is this 7?" And it writes, "Yes." And we say, we're very scared about all of this. And it says, "Sorry for scaring you, but you mustn't be." And then we start asking about some stuff that we'd noticed being moved in the house, like the perfume bottle. And 7 comes clean right away. Yes, it moved the perfume bottle. And then it confessed to something else that it moved that I hadn't really noticed. And the light face up. So I ask, "Light, what light?" And it says, "The many-armed light." So that didn't really make sense to me. And then it started trying to say something that I think we recorded, perhaps incorrectly. But then it came back. It saw that I wasn't registering, and it said, "Many-armed lights face up." So I used to have one of those pink Medusa lights with the bulbs. They were always kind of like splayed out. They had been kind of bundled up almost in like a flat, like a tulip, kind of like gathered together. So that was 7 moving something in our house. We kept going in the conversation. We said, "You said help me the first time we talked. What do you need our help with?" And it wrote "speak." And then it wrote something that I don't know if we recorded it incorrectly or if we were just like not connecting the dots properly, but I've never quite known what it was trying to say here. And here I point out that, so it was originally a group of us in the first conversations with 7. And just for privacy purposes, I've redacted like identifications. Is it okay that purple is not here? And 7 said, "No, purple is needed." So, and then a random cue, again, don't know what that means. And I said, "Is it okay that, the rest of us are here?" They said yes. And I said, "Well, 7, purple is just really, really scared." And 7 said, "Purple is scared. Why? I am 7. And I said, "They live alone. They don't do well with this kind of stuff." And then Orange in our group said, "This is bad. 7's bad." And 7 writes, "Orange, I am good." And then Green in our group begins to laugh, and 7 writes, "Green, stop laughing." So it's actually using their names here on the board, which, we had never formally introduced ourselves, but I guess it doesn't matter because I think 7 hears everything. So we freaked out, say, "What are you?" And it says 7. And, we say, that doesn't make sense to us. 7 is just a number between 6 and 8. And the planchette does just that. It moves to 6, then 8, then 7. And so here we kind of just start telling 7 a story that I guess he'd overheard this conversation, but this is where the squirrels thing started. A lot of you guys have noticed that 7 once talked about, a few times has talked about squirrels. This is where that began. We told 7 that, yesterday we were talking about the squirrels in the backyard and how they're always so scared of humans, even though we obviously mean them no harm, but they always run away. And maybe we are being like squirrels in this situation, running away from 7. 7 writes "stupid," which, 7 can be a little sassy sometimes. But at this point, we're pretty scared. And we ask, if we decide we don't want this, we don't want you around, would you go away? Would you stop? And 7 says, "Do you not want me? Why?" And we explain, we're scared. We have a lot going on in our lives. And we don't really know if we have time for a demon haunting us. 7 then says, "Speak." And then "open doors, invite strangers," which we've never understood. Is it a directive, like telling us to open doors and invite strangers? Or is it just a statement of fact that an open door will invite a stranger? I don't know. So we explain, yes, we did open a door. We're sorry if we played with something we shouldn't have. We did this for entertainment. And 7 wrote entertainment. And we asked again, would you go away if we wanted you to? And 7 said, "I like you, but you want me gone. Sad 7." And then the letters TE, which I don't know what those mean. And then he says, "I had answers for humanity." So obviously we're scared, very scared, because these are very spooky things to say on a Ouija board. But we ask, why us? And it says timing. And then again, it repeats Green's name on the board. We say, "Are you going to hurt us?" And it writes, "Stupid waste if I can destroy all. Squirrel." Orange is still spooked and asks, are you going to stop moving things in my house? And 7 clarifies, my house. And so we then kind of have this existential conversation of like, is everything is 7's technically. And, is this sugar's his and green's shirt? Yes. Do we belong to you? Yes. Do you belong to us? Yes. Do you love us? Not that small love. What do you need help saying? What message can we send to the world? That all must stop or earth will die. What must stop? Stupid. But lots of things are stupid, we say, and we don't get an answer to that. And then here, it's interesting. So I don't know if this is like us recording this incorrectly or are we not putting together the right dots, but fear, help me, green, me, timing, open doors. So green should share you with the world. All should share green. What should green do? We ask, play, a movie, a book, whatever. Green, invite to share me. So here we had to sign off because we had plans that day. We were going to go to the beach, which seems really stupid. 7 then goes really pink and the planchette rolls over goodbye. So very sassy sign off. And then when we get back on later that day, 7 picks up where we left off. How was the beach? So that's all I have time for. I got through 2-ish conversations. I will try to make another update very, very soon. So stay tuned for part 2, I guess.
The entity Cassie communicates with through the Ouija board describes itself in both cryptic and unsettling terms. It claims ownership over everything, people, houses, the earth, yet paradoxically states that it also belongs to us. Its perception of love goes beyond the small love humans understand, hinting at something far greater and more abstract.
Okay, part 2, picking up where we left off, July 7th, 2013. I'm going to try to move a little faster than I did last time, and I apologize in advance for any noise in my house. It's very noisy right now. Okay, 7 asks, how was the beach? We say it was good, we went swimming and fishing, and it was fun, whatever. Why no purple? Purple says, I'm here, 7, I'm just scared. Needn't fear. Fear controls weak. Cut out the fear. H, which I think might have just been a typo on our part. We came with pre-written questions, so we went ahead and started asking those with 7's blessing. Do you need the board to talk, the Ouija board? It is a tool. Why are you just now moving stuff like lights and perfume bottles? Like, why are you doing this? Test. A test of what? Our strength? Yes. Do you protect us? No. You are alone. And then here, you'll see this come up again. So pay attention to these numbers because it kind of always comes in this context. 4, 6, 7, Earth's 7, 8 remain, I am 7. Earths are alive. We ask, where are you? And again, kind of the same sort of numbers. I think this was meant to be all because we see this again. We'll see it later. But we wrote down AKK. There were once 4, 5, 6, 7 Earths. I am 7th, all. And we keep going with our pre-written questions. Is there a God? No. If there's no God, how are we talking to you? There is a power more than God, but God is good. And then here, I think it was trying to say something that we'll see later in this conversation, but this is what we wrote down. PLASEFF, experiment, FAH, maybe a J or a K. Again, I think this was us writing it down wrong. Continuing with our pre-written questions, we asked, if you have power, why can't you save the earth? Why do you need us? It says, ask better, jump, throw down fear. So we say it's hard to be strong, we're scared. It says yes. And then here we ask specifically, when you say we have to change things for the earth, we have to save the earth, do you mean global warming and recycling and, saving the polar bears? It says no. Then we ask nuclear war, and it says yes. And then based on some of the stuff it had said in the previous conversations, we ask, should green go into politics? No. And it writes purple. Purple should go into politics. Is there a devil? Yes. How can there be a devil if there's no God? In your mind. We say, do you mean fear? Yes. Should we fear death? Yes. Why? It's boring, which is kind of a classic 7 answer. And then we say, but how do you know? If you've never been born, you've never died, how do you know what death is like? I know. So then we decided to ask kind of a fun, silly question that maybe something only omnipotent would know. And we ask, where is Atlantis? And it starts off saying near Crete at, and then it says no Atlantis, myth. And we said, but why did you say it's near Crete? You would believe. So we say, you think we're gullible. Fun. And this, much like the word squirrel, is, oh, has that not been framed the whole time? I'm sorry, guys. Fun is a word that we see 7 say a lot. So this is the first time we're seeing fun. And we say, we're going out on a limb here. We're trying to be brave. We're trusting you to tell us the truth and, not play with us. 7 says, sorry, which is very polite. And we say, how can we be sure of what you're saying and the things you're telling us? Nothing I say can be sure. Then how do we know we should trust you? And it says, trust me. And so that is something, again, we see a lot with 7 where it doesn't give us exact specific things, but it's just saying, just have trust, just have faith. Like I can't tell you more than that, but kind of what he's saying. Anyway, we ask, why did you speak backwards? And it said test. So here we continue with our pre-written, very stupid questions. I really can't believe we asked these questions. They're so dumb. Do mermaids exist? No. Did dinosaurs exist? Yes. Do aliens exist? Yes. We should probably ask better questions. This is where we realize these are stupid. It says probably. Here we start talking amongst ourselves. What should we ask next? We'd kind of been discussing we should ask a question about, some mystery from the past. And 7 writes this out. WHASF, which again, I'm not sure what that means. Maybe a typo on our end. Then it almost goes to write an asp kill. Then it says Cleopatra died by a knife. And we said, what? I thought she died from, an asp bite. Myth. Who killed her? Centos. And here we laugh and we say, was Centos just some random guy from history that nobody knows anything about? Yes. So it's part 1 of the strange Cleopatra information, but we keep going here and we're not sure what to ask. And 7 just kind of starts saying this. So again, here, those are those numbers again. 8 Earths, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. We say, what is your relationship with these other Earths? Friends. The next step. And we ask, are we going to blow ourselves up? So we're coming back to the nuclear war threat. Probably. And again, we don't really know how to respond in the moment. We're pretty young and during this time and stupid. And, it's kind of, we don't know what any of this is. So we're not asking good questions. So don't judge us too hard here. Okay. So we ask a personal question. Is it okay that purple works at blank right now? Yes. How long should they continue working there? Until fear is dead. And then 7 kind of loops it back to this thing it's trying to say. And that's why I think earlier the AKK, I think it was trying to say all. All, 4, 5, 6, 7. And I think, this is us retroactively trying to figure out where the words and the letters connect. What word is it trying to spell? Ultimately, I think what it was trying to say is 0 remain sad 7. So that's my interpretation. But these are the letters we got. And we say, what should blank do? Religion. Anew. To lead. Green create. Pink lead. Purple allows. And to this day, it's very unclear what these things mean. Very abstract. We never quite figured it out. Hopefully we've accidentally done the right things. But anyway, we asked, is it good that these are our roles? 7 said, I think it was trying to say, I think so. Unavoidable. How does pink lead? Through love. So this is something we've seen. Leading through love comes up later. What should orange do? Listen. Is this the last time we can speak to you? I don't know why we asked that, but I don't know. Yes. And we say why, and 7 says, I feel like it, which we know didn't end up being true. Can you give us an equation or a formula to share with the world, something science-based? Greens, which we don't know what that means. Are you Earth? In a way. And then here it comes back again. The experiment must not fail. One of us asks, how did you know my real name? I listen. Can you hear everything we say? Unavoidable. Do you hear everything at all times? Yes. Well, that must be so obnoxious. It must be awful. Yes. Kind of nonsense stuff, back and forth. Are you a girl or a boy? Neither. Here we talk about wanting to know something else from history. Fun. Fun? Who's funny? Who's funny? Me. And this is part 2 of the Cleopatra factoids. Was Cleopatra nice? And 7 writes this word, which I probably shouldn't say on TikTok for fear of this video getting taken down. But we kind of laugh and we're like, that's not very nice. And it says fun. So again, I don't know if it, is 7 just being silly? Is this real? We don't know. So here's where it gets serious again. What is the meaning of life? To find that, I think you can find few do. Many fail. So this part goes really, really fast. 7 says, please do not fail me. Sad 7, save us. There was a long silence here. We're not sure what to do or what to say. It moved really, really fast. 7 says, thank you. Farewell backwards. And then we go over goodbye. And we don't get back on until the 24th of July, and that's where we have the alarm clock going off by itself. So stay tuned for Awaken.
7's messages often carry an ominous tone with dire warnings like all must stop or Earth will die, leaving Cassie and her audience grappling with its mysterious nature and intentions.
Okay, so very sorry for the delay. There's just been a lot of life stuff going on, and I hadn't had a moment to sit down and do this, but I'm going to try to move very quickly because this one's kind of long. Part 3, the third conversation, takes place July 24th, 2013, and it begins with 7 spelling out the word awaken backwards. And when it gets to this final A here, our alarm clock went off. I talked about this in one of my early videos, but very spooky. That's probably the spookiest thing that's really happened that we can't really explain in any way, shape, or form because our alarm clock was not set. So anyway, why fear? Squirrel. Why do you spell squirrel that way? This is how we spell it. Unneeded or you needed letters. 7. So again, this squirrel thing is an ongoing kind of meme with 7. Are you able to touch us? Yes. Would you touch us right now? No. Why? Unneeded. So I explained we're back here again. We felt like we asked really bad questions and our answers had a lot of holes. Yes. How many planets are left? 8. 8 in the beginning? No. 8. That's its name, 8. Silly. 8. Who's silly? You. Could we talk to you every day? Should not. Why? Too much rewap, which is obviously power backwards. Are you sure you're good? Yes. 8. So this is where, if you watch part 2, you'll know about the numbers that you're about to see here. They're going to be familiar to you. But we started feeling like the planchette wanted to do something abnormal. So we asked, should we let the planchette do this? Yes. 8. 8. So the planchette kind of moved sideways, and I've kind of drawn it out here what it did. And it covered 4, 5, 6, 7, and pointed to 8. 7 writes then silly. So we're trying to make sense of this. All of the planets, 4, 5, 6, 7, are 1 and end in 8? No. The planchette then, again, wants to move to the side, and it covers up the 9 and the 0, pointing to 8. Then it goes to 8. 8 remain. 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 0. So if you watch part 2, we saw these numbers. in some of that conversation. The plan should again covers up 9 and 0, points to 8. Sideways 8, infinity? That was our guess, kind of like thinking of the infinity symbol. Silly. Us? Yes. 4, 5, 6, 7, 9, 0. 8, 7, 8. The plan sheet again covers 9 and 0, points to 8. And we said, how come you're not writing 1, 2, 3? 1, 2, 3. Were it originally to 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, it would scare you all away. Go on and on. So none of this makes any sense to us. It really, to this day, it still doesn't. So the planets were infinite and went on, and only 8 are left? 8. Sad 7. 8 remain. And was each one destroyed by stupid? Which is, again, recalling our conversation from part 2. No. Bad luck for 741. 741 was killed by 741's star. 741 is a planet? Yes. I am 7. 741 was 741. 741's star. Its sun killed it? Yes. Accident. How do we know that we will die from nuclear war? 8 remain. So here we talk amongst ourselves, and a lot of this it's hard to recall sometimes what spurred 7's answer, because I typed all this up after the fact. So I'm trying to recall what exactly our questions were. And even in the moment, sometimes we lose track of what it was that we asked. So we thought we asked, how does it know we'll die from nuclear war? 7 says, no, that was not the question. No. A, I don't know what that means. Should we refrain from 2-part questions? Yes. Were you answering the last part? Yes. And it's nuclear power we should worry about? Yes. The main thing we should worry about? No. People. Like, I probably shouldn't say this word on TikTok, but those don't kill people, people kill people? Yes. The people who control the nukes? Yes. So here, kind of, I've talked about this in one of my previous videos, but I think this might have been a bit of a typo here. It was clearly trying to say something and it kept doubling back. And it looks like it ended up, this is what it ultimately was trying to say here. That power took 947-632 to the stars. 947-342 died by such a rewap or power. 947-632 flied to God. And we said, why do you keep spelling power backwards? Fun. And then here, again, not entirely sure what we asked, but something about why not yet, the odds of 8 out of infinity remaining, why has it taken us so long? Are we good? Something like that. No, you were late. We should have blown ourselves up already. Just on track. Why are we late? Plague. What about the plague? Slowed. Just on track again. Did you give us the plague? No. Are humans inherently destructive? Yes. Do we just keep repeating history? Yes. Something about whether I think 7 had tried to contact people on different Earths. I'm not sure. Failure. Something about the hardest. I don't even know what that means now. I have no idea what that means. What were we talking about? No. 947-631 tried. So this is a new number. This is a third number. Did they put their nuclear weapons in space? In a way. This is like another, just like squirrel and fun. 7 says, in a way, a lot. So, in a way. 947-632 tried. So here we get confused and we're like, there's 3 numbers on deck. Is that right? 7 says no. Elbow. So clearly we got something wrong. We try to figure out then which numbers should we cross out. It wasn't 947-342. What about 947-632? No. 947-631? Yes. So that was the number we, didn't count. Shouldn't be there. Ask again. And here he spells our names out, the green, pink, orange, purple tried. 947-632 happy. 1 success. Then kind of like a typo or something. We, for some reason, asked, do you need a break? Why do you keep spelling things wrong? I guess we think that 7 is tired or something. I don't know. We're very dumb. Squirrel. Success. Squirrel. Are you playing word games? Would you want them? Something like that. 947632, had the people actually listen, success. 1 has not failed. Success if you should be so picky. Be so picky? What? We're very confused. What does that mean? Listen, squirrel, picky. 7, I. Then for some reason, hello backwards. How can we stop nuclear war? We're so tiny. Step. The next tiny step of many. Needn't fear, for you are not destined. Huge step. We're destined for tiny steps? Yes. The start is small, but just as needed. So we 3 are supposed to start it. 4. Oh, orange 2. So we forgot someone in the group. Yes. Listen. Okay, so we 4 are supposed to start things. Yes. We're not destined to stop it, but we start the start. A path to the stars. 947632. Like 947632 does. Like putting their nukes in space. How can we do what they did if we don't know what they did? Instead of unsheathing the sword, they wrote it. If this is so important, and this is a question we get a lot from TikTokers, if this is so important, why can't you just tell us flat out what we're supposed to do? Then the experiment would fail. Doesn't talking to us at all make the experiment fail? Nudge aloud. Does 7 die when the earth dies? Yes. Who created 7? 1. Is 1 God? No. Is purple still supposed to go into politics? Yes. Are you going to tell us exactly what to do? No. Did something create 1? Yes. What was its name? 0. Did something create 0? Yes. What was its name? 1. -1. It corrected itself. So -1 was its name. Should we asked ourselves, should we ask the afterlife question? No. Is there an afterlife? In a way. Will we see each other again? No. Become 7. So there's more to this. I think I'm going to have to do a part 3B. I don't know. There's too much for this one video. To be continued.
7's concerns about nuclear power and its potential dangers are not entirely unfounded. While humans generally do not want nuclear war, the risks associated with nuclear energy and weapons remain significant. Accidents like Chernobyl and Fukushima highlight the potential for catastrophic consequences, even in peaceful applications of nuclear power. Additionally, the existence of nuclear weapons pose a persistent global threat despite efforts to prevent their use. That said, humanity has made strides in safety protocols, international treaties, and disarmed efforts to mitigate these risks. 7's warnings may resonate as a reminder of the importance of vigilance and responsibility in managing such powerful technologies.